So a lot of schools we work with in our curriculum now, we've got the vulnerability wall of failure where in a classroom, instead of posting things you're grateful for, you go up and post something that you tried that didn't work. Why? Because you should be proud of that, Jodi.
Yeah.
And each time you see that, you acknowledge that you tried and then you try it again. And that is obviously building that resilience model, you know, that we want to know that it's okay to try things and not worry about what people think. So...
Hi, I'm Dr. Jodi Richardson, and this is Well, Hello Anxiety. In a world that often moves too fast, we're here to pause, breathe, and understand anxiety together. Each episode will explore practical strategies, share honest conversations, and uncover the science behind anxiety and well-being, all while creating a space where it's okay to not be okay. Let's continue this journey together. When was the last time you played? I don't mean played sport. And if you're thinking, I've spent a lot of time playing my favourite Spotify playlist lately, I am not talking about playing music. I mean played, like truly played, like kids play. I asked myself that question when I was preparing for this podcast chat, and my mind sort of struggled to think, when was I playing last? And I thought back to a recent holiday when the family and I were in the pool and we were splashing and laughing around. And then I really struggled to come up with some other examples, and I am pretty sure that I am not alone in that. And I do really want you to reflect on when was the last time that you played. And if you've got little kids, you're probably playing with them, but I mean just for you. Because we actually do think about it as something for kids, you know, playing at the park, playing with toys, playing games. But I think a lot of us along the way kind of miss the memo that it's actually really important for us as well. And the science is clear on the benefits from it, on the benefits for us. It is so good for us. It helps us recover from stress. There's an undoing effect. There's really great research around that. It helps reduce anxiety. It helps us to sleep better. It helps us be connected with the people around us. We know how good it feels when we just sort of let go of everything else and we're really present. And we would all benefit from making space for it again. And so that's why I really wanted to talk with today's guest, Dale Sidebottom, because he is the co-founder of the School of Play, a TEDx speaker, a global advocate for bringing play, movement, gratitude and giving into everyday life. And the School of Play also has a curriculum for schools to help educators bring play and weave it into every week, every day of every week, for the benefit of not only the students' learning, engagement, stress, anxiety, but also for the benefit of the wonderful people at the front of the class or weaving in amongst the kids, because front of the class isn't always how teachers roll. Dale, a huge welcome to you. Thank you for joining me here and for the wonderful work that you know, are doing in this space and really sort of creating a bit of a movement. Pardon the pun, movement's a huge part of it. Can you tell us a little bit about why play and kind of what led you to kind of changing your career from being a classroom teacher to doing something very, very different, and a little bit about maybe your TEDx talk as well?
Okay, well, thank you very much, Jodi. I'm really excited to be here. And as you were talking there, I think a lot of people, when you talk about play, they think it's just sport or they think it's something organised. Well, play is something that, we call it play-based mindfulness. A lot of the work we do, they are just fun, simple little games. If it's a board game or if it's cards or dice, you're completely present. You're not thinking about the past or future. And I know we're going to obviously talk about anxiety and stress. Anxiety and stress can't occur when you're present. And you're getting the benefits of being connected with one another. There are no screens, there are no devices. And in a world where we're ruled by that and they're not going anywhere, it's something that's really, truly magical to see. I got back late last night from Mildura, where I was doing a keynote for a group of principals up there, and to see what happened in the room with principals that, you know, they're leading schools, the stress, the pressure they're under, but when you give them space, I spoke for an hour and a half, and it was amazing that so many of them said for an hour and a half, how quickly did that go? But what just happened? Like, it just took them on a journey. And I think that's the power of play when it's done well, when people feel safe. When they're safe, it's all about building relationships, and relationships are the key to life. So to go back to your question a little bit there, Jodi, I grew up in regional Victoria in a place called Shepparton, and I went to a primary school in a place called Katandra West on a dairy farm. And we had 25 students, and it was a Steiner education. And Steiner education, for anyone out there, is all around, storytelling and narrative, and it's all about allowing students to be creative. I was really loud, and if I was probably teaching me, I would have said, Dale, be quiet. But the teachers through Steiner, they encouraged me to be loud because that was my superpower. And then from there, I went to a school, a normal mainstream school of 1,500, which I enjoyed, but it was so regimented. And I think once I started teaching, I realized that no one cares what you know or what you know until they know how much you care. And I was teaching in London at the time, and I was doing supply teaching. If anyone that's ever done that, Jodi, let's be honest, I was very close to quitting and getting a job with my housemate as man with a van. It was not enjoyable at all. But the reason is I was walking in each day and just telling the students, this is what we need to learn. I was not taking any time to build a relationship, to build rapport. And there was this one day where I just flipped that. So I walked straight in. I didn't say who I was, and I just played 4 connection starters straight up. I call them connection starters because icebreakers, everyone's had a horrible experience with one, and the moment you label it, you lose half the room. I bet listeners can resonate with that. So I played 4 connection starters. By the last one, the kids are going, sir, who are you? And I said, this is who I am. And I tell you what, after recess, I've got another one of these games. After lunch, I've got another one, and the best one at the end of the day. But only if you all connect and help each other. And this was at a school in central London, and the kids, they were tough. Do you know what I mean? They didn't even have a classroom teacher. Every day there was a new supply teacher. And as I walked out, the principal grabbed me and goes, Dale, that's our hardest class. So what have you done? They go, do you want a job? I said, I do not want a job. I appreciate the offer. I've got one more day at your school and I'll probably never come back. Horrible school. But I was able to build a relationship and a connection with them. And through that, I realized that taking 5, 10, 15 minutes at the start of every lesson to allow kids to be present, to allow them to forget whatever happened the night before or that morning, because we don't know what's going on over the schoolyard. So what I was able to do was allow them to feel safe, connected, and have some fun. And then the rest of the day flowed. So through that, I had a big bag of all games. And so I thought, you know what, there's something in this. So I created my first mobile app. That was about 15 years ago now, called Class Break. And essentially it was a way for teachers to break up the class with a game. And that went gangbusters globally. It was #1 app in Australia for education. And through that, I was still teaching in Melbourne at the time, but on the weekend I'd fly to Dubai and I'd present and I'd come back, or I'd fly to Singapore, Abu Dhabi. And I remember talking in Abu Dhabi on a Sunday, and I had a line of international teachers saying, Dale, can you come to our school this week? I'm like, I can't. I'm on the red-eye flight back. I'm teaching in Melbourne tomorrow. And they're like, you need to stop doing that. What you're doing is amazing. So I remember I rang my parents up about 10 years ago, Jodi. I said, I'm going to quit teaching and play games. And my dad's like, Dale, what are you doing, mate? Like, I have some weird ideas. But, I suppose since then I'd found a way to help people feel safe, have fun, and connected with themselves and others. And essentially a great way to improve their mental and physical well-being. And, over the last 9 years, I've presented in over 25 countries face-to-face now. Last month, I was keynoting in America and Thailand. Next week, I'm off to Singapore. Last year, I was in Kenya at the International School of Kenya. The royal family of Saudi Arabia flew me over last year. And it's just pinch me sort of moments where you rock up to these places. And I don't speak any other language, Jodi, and I speak English very poorly, but that doesn't matter. When play is done well, it connects everyone. And it's just an amazing thing to see. And for me, that trip to Saudi Arabia last year, where their culture is so far removed from what I was asking them to do. I had a full day with them, 180 in this ballroom for the royal family, and the transformation was incredible. And that's when I was like, I just pinched myself and said, this is amazing what you're doing, and more people need to see it. And that's where sort of, I'm sure we'll talk about 365 Days of Play, the book that came out this year. And my TED Talk sort of journey is more about my journey of how I rediscovered myself. I went through a pretty rough period in my early 30s, all by my own doing, just because I could never be present as a kid. I didn't realize there was things you could do to reduce stress and anxiety. So my thing was I just needed to be busy and go, go, go. And I never loved the person I saw in the mirror. So in that TED Talk, I talk about the journey I went on and getting divorced at 30 and how I was embarrassed and shamed, and what I then did to improve myself instead of blaming others. And we all know that now that if you're not in a good place, there are things that you can do to make sure that you're happy and healthy. No one else can do that. So that TED Talk takes on a little bit of a journey and talks really similar about, the method now that we use at the School of Play and the Daily Peg in play, exercise, gratitude and giving. It's 15 minutes. If you wanted to watch anything, it might be an enjoyable watch. But that is a really long-winded answer. I think I summarised everything. Let me know if I didn't.
I think you did, and then some. And it's good to know. It's also good for listeners because play when we think about play, and I'm on a mission to have more fun in my life, and I love to have fun, and I have a good sense of humour, but it's easy for the days to get full, and for you sort of wake up and get on with the morning and all of the things that you need to do, and I make time for exercise. I play basketball, and a lot of people will sort of have their routine, their daily routine, and I'm sure play isn't part of it. It's probably not even on the radar, and yet we know you just have to be doing something in the gym and someone makes a joke and you just lose all muscle tone, and you just relax, your whole body relaxes, and you get the endorphins, you get the dopamine and the serotonin and the feel good. We don't have to convince anyone how good it feels to play, but why is it something that we just kind of let go of? Like, what is it that listeners can do that are thinking, hey, yeah, I need a bit more of this in my life? Like Dale's full of energy and really excited, really you're living your best life, and you're obviously really enjoying spreading the word wherever it is that you are here in Australia or around the globe. For people who are sort of thinking, well, I've got financial pressures, and I've got stress in my life, and I've got maybe one of my kids is struggling with their mental health, and I feel like it's kind of like, it feels like I don't feel like playing because I'm too stressed, the irony, or I'm just so busy and overwhelmed. What would you say to that listener? I think I've got a fair idea of what you're going to say, but just for the person thinking, is this something else I have to do, or help them to think differently about it?
Yeah, and great question. And I think I'll be honest, life's too serious. People are too serious, and they've forgotten how to have fun. I think if we just look back to COVID and what it made us do, I think you look at all jigsaw puzzles, all bikes, you couldn't buy anything because people were going back to it. But as we've reverted back out to the new norm, they've forgotten how to do it. And it's not something you need to dedicate an hour to. My big thing is that, particularly when we do a lot of parent sessions, it's being intentional with 10 minutes a night. And even if you don't have kids, take 10 minutes with your workmates, or take 10 minutes with your friends or your partner, family, whoever that might be, and just be intentional with a silly game. We use, particularly in our curriculum and our workshops that we do, we use dice. The reason we use dice is, I don't know if this is a serious question, Jodi, are you a professional dice roller?
No, I'm not, Dale. Thank you for asking.
No, we love using dice. Why? Because it doesn't matter if you're the best writer, reader, mathematician, sewer, sports person. You can never be good at rolling a dice. So it levels the playing field and chance. And for that is really important because it gives everybody the opportunity to have some success. So if you are listening out there are so many simple dice games. Like anything in life, if you want to get healthy, you need to be intentional with eating well. If you want to move your body, you need to set time to go to the gym or set time to go for a walk. It's exactly the same with play. I think you need to be really intentional about it. Otherwise, if you don't set time or you don't have a specific area of your life you're going to do it, it just won't happen because we are busy, we are stressed, and life is chaotic. So really, if you're not finding time to play, maybe look at your screen time and how much you scroll. That would be my biggest one. Get rid of your phone. I'm not amazing on my phone, I'll be honest. So each night now I put it away. I don't watch TV anymore at night because I was like, all I was doing, I wasn't even watching TV. I was just actually scrolling my phone. I couldn't remember it, and 2 hours later, and then I'd go to bed. Yeah. Now I'd rather go for a walk and read a book or play a game for my wife if she's up for it, which she sometimes is, but she's not into games as much as I am. But I just think you need to be intentional with it. And if you don't have time, then I think that's an excuse, and I'm going to be harsh here. I think that's rubbish. You need to make time because the science behind it is bloody amazing, and it'll blow your mind, not only for yourself, but the people around you.
I agree with you about the time that we all have the same time in the day, and we lose and waste a lot of time, and we often don't realise. And I think have a look at your screen time. I think that's a really great suggestion, because we've been having this conversation in my house actually, because I have teenagers.
I bet you have, with 15 and 17-year-old, no doubt.
Totally. And so and it is. It's like yeah, and it's an investment in ourselves and in our mental health. And if you are stressed and feeling stretched and feeling overwhelmed, then you need it more than anyone else, because of the difference that it can make. And the power of being present is, what you were saying before, Dale, is so it's so important, because it's very easy to go through life from one thing to the next and sort of look at the calendar for the day and how's the day unfolding? What have I got to do? What have I got to get through or get done? And often it's about kind of like, it feels a bit like walking through mud for some people of the, what the day might hold. When our attention is in this very, very moment, despite what's happened in the past to us or around us, or the circumstances around our history, and despite what we could think about that is potentially a challenge in the future, or something that's coming up that's going to be difficult, or a set of circumstances that are very sad that are happening in our life, when our attention is in either of those places, then it activates emotions in us, it activates pathways in our brain and in our nervous system that can often lead to us feeling overwhelmed and stressed and anxious and, opposite of how we want to feel. But when we place our attention in the very present moment, here and now, whether that's on a game, on the person that's in front of us, on the book that we're reading, on the dice that we're throwing, then we can have this moment of freedom. And it's like, I feel like it's this paradise that's available to all of us, being in the moment. And what you said about kind of the present moment awareness, when you are doing a jigsaw puzzle, you are rolling the dice and playing a game and connecting and actually have your attention in the moment, put your head where your hands are, so to speak. It is, when we can build more moments of that into our day, it's so powerful for the way we feel day to day, but it also is, over time, strengthening the connections in our brain that help us to cope better when things aren't good. We have to put our attention on the things that aren't good. Of course, we have to solve problems and deal with sad experiences and circumstances, but the power of being in the present is it cannot be overestimated. And you said before about the science of play. Can you share some of that with us? Because if people aren't already convinced, let's convince them a little bit more.
Of course I can. And I think that's why the present's called a gift, isn't it? Because it's a gift for you and the people you're around, Jodi. The science is incredible. I talk about it. We've done a couple of years of full studies with La Trobe University around not only our 1 hour, and we call them a fun shop because, let's be honest, people have sat through a workshop that's quite boring. And the results for that were incredible. So over a year period, we had a boost in happiness by 40%, reduced stress and loneliness by 20%, surge in energy by 30%. But the big one was over 95% of participants that did that 1 hour session with us improved their mental health in some form. So we've seen it firsthand in what we do, but the four that I love about play, and there are so many, play is amazing at allowing you to be creative. It is a superpower. And like you were talking about before, if you've got problems or you need to solve something, play is the best way to do it. And unfortunately, the one thing I'm seeing these days is no one is ever bored. Okay, so you think about life, Jodi. No one is ever bored anymore. My kids aren't. Your kids probably aren't. Anyone, because the moment you have a second to yourself to allow yourself to think, you get out your phone and you start scrolling. So boredom never occurs, and through boredom never occurring, you don't allow yourself to be creative. And this is a problem I'm seeing in schools now, where a lot of students don't understand how to get creative or what to do unless it's structured, because we don't allow them that space. The best thing you can do is allow yourself to be bored. Allow yourself to go, what am I going to do? Allow your mind to start thinking. So that's one of them. Ultimate way to obviously get creative. The second one is it utterly destroys anxiety. And I talk about this in all the talks I do. I start with this clapping game. I started my TED talk with it. They said, you can't start a TED talk with a clapping game. I go, well, I've got to. And I talk about it that I walk into this room, I don't know everyone. I feel a bit anxious, but I know once I start that clapping game, it allows me to feel safe and I connect with the audience as well. And my joke is that if you ever feel anxious in your life, you can start clapping, but that's okay. You don't judge me, but it allows you to feel safe. The next two, it's how we form our strongest social circles, and it really is. And like you were saying, if people are listening out there, that probably one of the best activities you can do tonight or at work, wherever you are, give everybody a piece of paper and a pen, allow them a minute and a half and say, draw the best thing you've done this year or draw something that's made you really proud. We call it Gratitude Pictionary. Don't label it Gratitude Pictionary though, because you'll lose half the room. We don't want to practice gratitude. And then what happens, because your drawing's not very good, you hold it up, everyone else guesses. It's a delivery tool for you, allowing you to be vulnerable and share in a safe space. But the big one about everything around play, we call it play-based mindfulness. When you are truly playing, you're in flow. And there's not many places now with the, how crazy attached we are to everything that you actually get that gift. So there are so many benefits around play, the cognitive development, neuroplasticity, all these things that I know you could go into way better detail than what I could, Jodi, but plain and simple, play is a superpower for allowing you to be connected to yourself and the people around you.
It is. The connection thing Dale, we have a game at home actually, and when I was thinking about when we play, and we haven't played it for a little while, and when I was thinking about when do I play, I could only think of that example in the pool when we were away on the holiday, and then something else popped into my mind, and that was this game, and we call it the coin game, and we've got an island bench at home. It's stone. And we give the bench a really good wipe. It's got to be super clean, super dry, so it's slippery. We get a 20-cent coin. And
great game. I know it. Sorry to interrupt. Love it.
Yeah, my husband and my daughter are on one side of the table, so we've got the pairs. The pairs have been set for years, and my son and I are on the other side of the table. And the idea is you get 3 goes to tap the coin and hopefully get it to hang over the opposite edge enough that you can go and flick up the edge and catch it with one hand. So you know this game. We call it the coin game in our house. And it is hilarious and it is fun. It connects us. There's a lot of trash talking. There's a lot of ridiculousness. There's a lot of dropped coins and finger pointing and a lot of high-fiving and a lot of laughter. And one of the kids was a bit stressed about something not so long ago, and I said to Pete, my husband, I said, let's play the coin game after dinner. Not because we don't have to cheer people up when they're sad and down. We absolutely need to acknowledge and validate emotions and allow emotions to kind of move through and to, welcome all feelings and a lot of the things that I do talk about. But also there comes a time when you need to reconnect, you need to shake it off, have a bit of a laugh, and also it just brings you closer. It brings you closer. And my husband's been away, and I've been sort of like, I'm thinking now whilst we're talking, I wonder if like my son and I should start doing some practice while he's not around so we can get a bit better.
Good.
But the connection, what you said about connection, it is, and look, Dale, in this life we get, honestly, we get each day. I'm so grateful for every birthday. I struggled with 27. I had a hard time with 27. I don't know what it was. I'm like, I'm so old. But each day is such a gift. And what is this life if it is not about the people, having fun, just, relaxing, enjoyment? We have to work. We have lots of ups and downs. Life throws so many curveballs our way. That is being human. But play, laughter, connection, mindful moments, they help us to cope. They build our psychological resilience and our ability to cope when things are tough. Can you tell us, please, like with adults, like I've obviously shared a game that's fun for a family. For a family who, like an adult listening who's like, look, I'd love to be able to do something with the kids, but the kids aren't really on board. Like if it's not been a part of family life for a few years because the board games get tucked away. I found that I was always like, who wants to play a board game with me? And then, like as kids get older, they've just got other interests, of course. And it wasn't a routine. It wasn't like we had games night or anything. For families where kids are kind of like, a bit like, I'm not sure about that. What could you suggest? What's a way to kind of like open the door again to bringing more of this joy and goodness into their lives?
Love that, and love the coin game. I'm going to start with parents. Don't go, we're going to play a game. Don't label it. And I'll be honest, because the moment you label it, you'll lose your kids. Because I bet they've had a bad experience before, or they're judgmental. They're not curious, as good old Ted Lasso would say. I want to go one step back. So you've got a beautiful island bench. You play the coin game. Another game that you could just play even with your son if you want to practice, a game called Get 7 Bounces. So grab a tennis ball or a bouncy ball, and you've got to bounce it once, and then your son will catch it. He has to bounce it once, you'll catch it. Then it's got to bounce twice, and you've got to catch it, and then twice, and then 3, and then 4, and it's whoever can't get that sequence. And by the end of like 4 bounces or 5 bounces, it's really tough. It's very strategic with how you drop it and the development behind it. You don't need an island bench, you just need a table, or you need a piece of ground where you can set out a set period that you can do it. Yes. Brilliant game, and I'm sure the competitive juices come in because it's addictive. You want to get it. You're like, damn, I only got 3, then I want to get 4. Mum, how'd you get that?
Can I just stop you there, because I'm just picturing it. So it's just bouncing it in front of yourself. So bounce it.
No, you bounce it. You bounce it to your son. So
you bounce it to each other.
It's got to go. Yeah, so you're standing either side of the island bench.
I've got it now.
Your turn first. It's only allowed to bounce once before it gets to him. Yeah. He's got to do exactly the same thing. And then for the second round, it has to bounce twice until it gets to him, and so forth. So it starts off very easy, but then it's quite hard towards the end. Yes. Brilliant game. It's over so quick, but it's really addictive because you want to get better at it and you want to be able to get the 7. It works best with, I don't know, for people listening, they're like a soft sort of rubbery ball that you play down ball with.
Yes.
Those are the best. A lot of people throw them to their dogs or whatever like that, but it does work with a tennis ball as well. But give that a try, and that's one for you there, Jodi. For everyone else listening, as I said before, dice are amazing. I've got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old at home, and we play this game a lot, particularly with my 4-year-old. You need 6 dice each, and it's a game called Dice Towers. Very simple. The aim is to build a dice tower. So a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, 5, and a 6, and you stack them on top. The only way you can do that is by rolling all the 6 and getting them in a sequence. So on my first roll, if I got a 1 and a 2, I'd stack them, but then I didn't have a 3. I'd have to pick up those 4. And you go back and forth until one of you has got all 6. And now the game is brilliant, but that's not the reason behind the game. The key with this is to get some sneaky discussion, some sneaky sharing without, how was your day? What are you grateful for? Because that's awkward. Kids don't want that. They can see straight through it. So we've got a rule. Whoever wins gets to ask the other player a question about their day. And it's amazing how far my 4-year-old has come from, how was your day? I don't know, can't remember. When he beats me, Dad, what are you really proud of today? And the inside, it makes you want to cry, Jodi. But the game, because it's tricking my son into being present, having some luck, having some success, building the dice up. And if he's just at the stage where he can build a tower now. Before that, we used to do a laying down tower, so it didn't fall over and he felt like a failure, because you don't want that. It's not about that. But that is a brilliant game. Why? Because it's all luck. It's all random. The games are over quickly, but what you can do is the ability to ask a good question. Because how many parents probably listen to this, their kids get home, how was your day? Good. What'd you learn? Nothing. That's not your kid's fault. That's your fault for asking an absolute rubbish question. Yeah. This game changes the narrative and it makes them feel safe because they don't realise the question is part of the game. It's just an element and a layer of what you're doing in Dice Towers. Yeah. So that would be, that's an amazing game.
I love that. It's so funny because we were at an under-19s football information night last night. My son plays footy, and he's been in the team for a year, and it was like welcoming the new families and the new players, and so some of the mums and I, we were sort of catching up. We haven't seen each other sort of since the grand final.
Good.
And I met, because when your kids are older, Dale, and for listeners who have older kids will know this, but all of a sudden you are not really that involved in their sport. He's in a senior football club now, and so. When you wanted to do, they still have lollies and oranges at halftime, so you can still contribute. But it's just like a lot of them are adults. A lot of them are driving themselves to training. And even though our son's 17, he's a bit younger and a lot of them are a bit younger. But you just don't get to know the parents and the families. And it's just, you feel a bit disconnected. And we all, so when we connect that reconnect. It's really cool, like with the ones that you do meet, the parents you do know. But I also met the mum of another player in the team who I hadn't met for the whole season. And anyway, we got chatting, and we were having a laugh because we were sort of talking about the boys, and we were talking about kind of trying to get information out of them. And, my sometimes I'll say to my son, throw me a bone, But I've learned not to ask those pointed questions. But also he knows that I'm interested to know. But, we just, the car is not the time. You just got to find those ways to be open for a conversation if they're open for it and not pressure. But, this idea that you can sort of just get in this routine and this habit of connecting and chatting. And they're 4 and 2, your kids. And when, as they get older, then, depending on their personality, of course, but I just love it because I can just see that time together. And like you say, it doesn't take long. So with a 15-year-old, if you play a game and it's like 5 minutes, depending on how your dice rolling goes, we've all agreed nobody's a superstar. I can just see like these little pockets. There's just these little moments, and I'm feeling excited because I want it for myself. I've been chatting with my one of my friends in particular about having more fun and doing new stuff. And we'd actually booked a surf lesson for ourselves, which is not play. It is play, but it's a bit, I suppose it is play because it's, and it's for the sake of it. It's not for any performance. It's not for any achievement. It's not for any kind of like certification. And I've realised, Dale, that like I've been this anxiously type A, high achieving, driven personality, and I've accomplished a lot, and I'm really proud of what I've accomplished. But I look back and I think, even when I took up karate, I took it up because I wanted more flow in my life. I wanted more flow, and it gave me that. But then it was about the belts, It was about connection with my mates, learning, fitness, discipline, blah, blah, blah. But I got so much fulfillment out of the accomplishments that came with it. And it wasn't why I started. But to do something purely for the sake of doing it with no pressure, just the freedom and the joy in that, I think, is so exciting. And so, I didn't get to go surfing because I've got a stress fracture in my ankle, so I'm in a moon boot. I went to a musical theatre with my daughter on the weekend. My friend and I have postponed our surfing adventure. But, I think life's too short, isn't it? And like you said, life's too serious.
100%. I think that's where doing something for the sake of it, that's so important. Do you know why? You're going to a surfing lesson just because, you're allowing yourself to be a beginner. You're allowing yourself to not know. You're allowing yourself to be vulnerable by putting yourself in that situation that is out of your control. We talk about students wanting to be the ability, to try new things and fail, that failure is good because that's how we grow. I think too many adults get safe. They're too safe. They actually don't practice what they preach. And I talk to students about this teachers about this all the time, that you need to model it. You need to try new things and be vulnerable and say it didn't work. In Finland, for sake, they have a day every year that's National Failure Day, where they all celebrate something that they've tried and haven't worked. So a lot of schools we work with in our curriculum now, we've got the vulnerability wall of failure, where in a classroom, instead of posting things you're grateful for, you go up and post something that you tried that didn't work. Why? Because you should be bloody proud of that, Jodi.
Yeah.
And each time you see that, you acknowledge that you tried and then you tried again. And that is obviously building that resilience model, that we want to know that it's okay to try things and not worry about what people think. So signing up for surfing just because, more people need to do those things because you've got no control and there's no objective besides putting yourself in a situation you haven't been before and giving it a crack.
And having a laugh at yourself and just, just being, like you say, being a learner. And there's so much freedom in that, because when we're grown-ups, we're adults and we're adulting and working and doing all the things, like we have such high expectations of ourselves, or our employers do, our workplaces do. And one of the things that my daughter said to me once, which was so cool, and I know she saw it on TikTok, but she goes, "Mum, I've just realised that you and Dad have never done this before as parents. You have never, ever parented kids before, every day that you parent us is a new day for you, like it's a new day for us. And I'm like, you are absolutely right. And if only you knew the conversations that happened, like for us to try to do the best we can as parents together as a team and, to make good decisions and set good boundaries and all of that. And I said, we are like and for just for her to, and she showed me where she saw it. And it doesn't matter that she didn't come up with it herself, but it was like it almost like felt like the pressure was off a little bit. Like she's like, because we don't always get it right. We don't. None of us do.
Everyone does.
No, gosh. And so I think that just learning something new and just thinking, like I've made my fun list. My fun list, I'll tell you a few of the things on my fun list that I want to learn how to do. I want to learn how to do coffee art because I have a coffee machine at home.
Yes.
And they always look like blobs. I've watched a few YouTube videos, but I think I'm going to go and do a class. I'm going to have a professional show me this stuff. And not because I want to impress anyone, just because I think it would be fun to learn that skill. I want to go and do a tufting class where you use a gun and you make like a little rug. I want to do surfing. I want to go and do, I don't drink alcohol, but I want to do like one of those paint and sip things with a friend where you go along and you just do a painting with a bit of, I just want to try new things and just have a good time doing it.
Amazing.
But also I sort of think I'll spread them out because all of those things cost money to go and do them. But what you're sharing, and 365 Days of Play, which I've got right in front of me, and you've talked about the School of Play app. It doesn't have to cost a penny. It doesn't have to cost a penny. You can have a coin in the house. You can have a ball floating around, or easy to pick up if you go to the local dog park and you find a freebie, or go to the local $2 shop. They're not much. But tell us about the book, because play can be quick, free, easy, accessible, and I've got the book in front of me, which I'm flicking through. But tell people about the book so they know what to expect.
The book, so 365 Days of Play, was really something that came about. My first book I released, All Work, No Play, was more around my story, my journey, and the science behind play, which is great. And when I released that about 5 years ago, that's where I was. But my business partner, Paul Campbell, has come on board. He used to be a principal and work at Collingwood Football Club. And we're like, we need something that families can just pick up anytime, anywhere. There's no pressure to use it. And so we came up with the idea that we love learning through narrative. We love a story. That's how people learn. And you just got to look why kids and love gaming so much, because game mechanics is incredible at building a narrative.
Yeah.
If only education caught up as fast as games, because they're addictive. So we decided that we wanted to write a different story about a person, a place, an experience, or something to hook people in as a family. So they're not only learning, but they're also, oh, wow, that's cool. Yeah. And then that story relates to a simple play activity that they can do as a family that goes for 5 or 10 minutes. The idea originally was for the book to be for families. So you can be intentional each night with just 5 or 10 minutes, because that's all it needs to be. It shouldn't have to be a long period of time. And this book is really simple. And personally, as a father, I struggled. I'd come home and my wife goes, "You're a play expert. What are you doing? You can't think." And my cognitive load was cooked. I had nothing. Yeah. So I actually use this book myself, because I know now I can come home, we pick up the page, I read that story. I'm learning as well, because I didn't write every story. Like, we collaborated, obviously, Paul and myself, when we were writing it, but it just reminds you we get something in common together. And then as a family, we complete something. We do this before dinner, and that's all I need, because the first thing I do when I get home with my boys is I either ask them, would you like to play the Lego, or would you like to do something? And I allow 10 minutes for them. Or would you like to do the book, whatever that might be.
Yeah.
And then it's not them nagging, "Dad, can you do this? Dad, can you do that?" I flip the switch and say, "Oh, I want to play with you." I change the narrative. So instead of them like nagging, I'm the one that, "What can we do? I can't wait." They get that 5 or 10 minutes, and then I can go about, for my wife, cooking dinner or whatever we're doing. But essentially the book's placed for families, and it's working well in schools and workplaces now, Jodi. But it's just a really simple activity that you can pick up any day, whenever you want, to allow a little bit of connection to take place.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And it is. It's like the chef that comes home and is like, I don't know what to cook for dinner, or might not even necessarily feel like, cooking dinner if they've been doing it all day, but play's different because it's magnetic, and the more you do it, the more you realise you want to do it, and the kids will be asking for it. So, So Dale, look, honestly, thank you so much for all your time today and all these great ideas. I'm so excited about introducing some more games. Obviously, I've got the book and the ones that we've talked about today. How can people connect with you and contact you and learn more about the wonderful work that you're doing?
Yeah, they can. Probably the easiest and cheapest way to do it would to get that book. We've tried to put everything we do in one book. So 365 Days of Play. It's just available anywhere. Our business is called The School of Play. So our website's theschoolofplay.co.co. You can go and see there all the programs we offer, curriculums to schools, our corporate work, our keynotes. There's also a lot of free resources on there, but also the app I mentioned earlier. There's 20 actionable, easy activities that are free. If you just go on Google Play, iTunes and type in School of Play, you can get that app for free, and that's probably something you can use straight away. So yeah, if you want to go and check those out, see what it's like, but more importantly, probably be intentional with either the games I mentioned tonight. Gratitude Pictionary is an awesome one, Jodi, just to be able to use anywhere, any situation. Dice Towers is brilliant for getting that sneaky conversation taking place, and for you, pick up a tennis ball or a softball and play 7 bounces, because it sounds like your son, if he's playing under 19 footy or seniors, he'll be very competitive and he'll want to beat you. So that's my challenge for you.
We are. I think we might start practicing it and then challenge my husband and daughter to do it.
Get some bounces in.
Yeah, totally. Oh, Dale, no, thank you so much. It's been just such a joy talking with you. Thanks for the work that you're doing. It's just such a breath of fresh air, and I've loved our chat, and I just know, and I really want listeners, please, just tag Dale, tag me, chuck it on Instagram. There you go. There's some classy Aussie lingo
there you go.
for
if you. Are on Instagram, my name's Dale Sidebottom. That's my handle. A very, very simple name that people don't forget. So if you want to tag me, I'd love to see the byproducts of this podcast.
Totally, yeah. When you're doing something, take a quick snap and then put the phone away and then get on with it. So thank you, Dale. Thank you so much for your time. It's just been a joy chatting with you. Thank you for sharing this time with me on Well, Hello Anxiety. Remember, understanding anxiety is the first step to managing it. Until next time, be gentle with yourself. Take things one moment at a time. Focus on what you can control and know that you are not alone on this journey. If you found value in today's episode, please share it with someone who might need to hear it too. I'm Dr. Jodi Richardson, and I'll meet you right back here next week.